Today I'm going to tell you what leader bike is going to be right for you. I've prepared a wonderful little presentation for you, so sit back, relax, and check out what leader bike is going to be right for you to ride. This is a very serious post. Everything I'm saying here is going to be 100% accurate and fact. So what's right for you? Basically, you got to pick the one you think looks coolest. If you think that's a 2005 Suzuki GSXR-1000, whatever. Ultimately, I'm not your dad. I don't really care. I am going to lambaste you for your terrible taste, but I will still love you because that's just kind of what I do here. You got to get the bikes you like, and that's ultimately what you got to do. So you got to get the one you think looks cool, but these are my very cool and important and awesome opinions on the ones you should get. Yamaha R1. You're a Rossi wannabe, you're an absolute stan. All you want to do is rev the engine, pretend you're Valentino, you're living in the past because you know there's some better leader bikes out there today. You're a cross-plane exclusionist. You think that because there's the awesome cross-plane crank, you're different and better than all the other Japanese bikes out there. And you have somewhat refined tastes, but your budget doesn't really allow for European bikes because you know you can't afford Ducati repair bills, and so you make fun of Ducatistas at every opportunity. But you secretly wish you were one because of your super spicy exhaust note and your difference and the way that it looks and all that stuff. And to be honest, either you're really fast on track or you're really slow on track. There is no in between. I've never seen a mid-pack warrior in an R1. It's always really fast or really slow, unfortunately. Usually under the age of 30 or over the age of 50. I've also only ever seen that. I don't know why. And they're secure enough to know that they have the best Japanese bike available on the market today. There's no doubt about it, in my humble opinion, because you're watching the video. R1 goated. I'm gonna be completely honest, this is one of my favorite 1000cc motorcycles of all time. This is a Yamaha R1M, and it is simply the coolest Japanese leader bike that you could spend your hard-earned dollars on. Head over to yamanube.co. We're doing this one as a giveaway bike for a limited time at the end of 2023 to wrap up and celebrate an amazing year that we've had on our store. Get entered to win by purchasing anything you'd like and get your chances locked and loaded to win this incredible Yamaha R1M. ZX-10R. They know they're not as cool as an R1. That's the problem. That's the big problem, and that causes a lot of insecurity, a lot of psychological issues, some trauma, that sort of thing. And they chose one because they thought it was good value for money. It's not really. And they're very quick to bring up and discuss the World Superbike dominance. Do not talk about MotoGP to them. They do not want to hear it. They are going to be very spicy about it. They're very contentious about it. Very sore subject. If you find a guy who owns a ZX-10R, don't talk about MotoGP or Kawasaki not being in MotoGP. They'll talk about World Superbike. Jonathan Rea, 6 titles, so dominant. Wow, wow, wow. But that's because you didn't try, did you? They own several green items to do a matchy match with the bike. And you'll often hear them say, they rode dirt bikes as kids, bro. This is my first street bike, bro. And they're very quick to make excuses when they ultimately lose roll races to faster Hayabusas and open class bikes. But the ZX-10R guy, you know, that's usually what we find here. GSXR-1000, they're very confused people who bought a woefully out-of-date superbike, okay? These are guys that did not really have all the information. They didn't have all the chips to play with. They're playing with half a hand, all right, so to speak. They're not going to be going into a dealership fully actualized, knowledgeable, and understanding what they need to do with motorcycling. These are people that usually their cousins said the Gixxers are fast, so they bought one at 22.99% dealer financing with 72 months on the note because guess what? They got a GSXR-1000 now. Also, these can be racers who bought the bike that are still ridiculously competitive despite zero support from Suzuki. That happens too. But they religiously refer to it as a GSXR-1000. Never, ever calling it a Suzuki GSXR-1000R. The name of the motorcycle. They will never call it that. Very jealous of Hayabusa riders. One thing you got to understand about the GSXR-1000 riders, they are always living in the shadow of a Hayabusa. Somewhere, some person out there, they'll just be riding their Gixxer and they feel a tall shadow, a looming presence, a dark force upon their lives. And that is Hayabusa owners and riders usually clowning them. But they never miss an opportunity to discuss how their bike is superior to a Hayabusa in every way. They say, no, the Hayabusa is not faster. No, I know. It has a bigger engine. It's not faster. It's not. And so dark smoke windshields are absolutely mandatory so they can hide from their emotions that they're inevitably running towards when, again, much like the ZX-10R guy, they lose to a Hayabusa in a roll race. And then they wonder, how did this happen? How could this possibly happen to me? I bought a Gixxer Thou. My cousin said it was a good idea. Yet here I am, in this dark, sullen place, in the sunken place, in the nadir. Why am I here? Once again, well, that's because your family hates you. Next up, CBR-1000 RRSP Fireblade. These are Japanese leader bike owners who spent money like a Euro bike, but they have zero brand prestige or recognition, unfortunately. These are guys that want the panache of a Ducati. They want something top level, the BMWs, all that stuff. But ultimately people say, oh, it's a Honda. It feels very normal, very pedestrian. 250 horsepower, bro. 215, 215, bro. Over 200 horsepower to the tire. Bro, 215 horsepower. This is something you'll hear a lot. And they're usually writing complex mathematical equations to explain why Honda is losing in both MotoGP and in World Superbike despite decades of dominance and ultimately not really getting the results they wanted to. They'll bring up Marc Marquez all the time. They'll say, oh, my bike has the same bore and stroke as Marquez's bike, even though, very sad truth about it is the Honda's a V4 in MotoGP and has practically nothing to do with anything with what the CBR-1000 RRSP Fireblade is doing. You'd have to look to the likes of Iker Lecuona in World Superbike for you to know the closest competitor right there. It's never modified. I've seen lots of Fireblades out in the wild. Never modified, barely touched, and that's because they spent the whole budget on the motorcycle themselves, and they have this thought process that, well, it's a perfect bike. Why would you want to modify it? It's absolutely perfect. And do not bring up how many R's the bike has. They've had enough of that. They don't want to make the pirate jokes. They're good. Let's move on. Ducati Panigale V4S. Behold, I am able to torch money on expensive things. Witness me. This bike, as we all know, has an 1103cc cheater engine. They couldn't afford the R. They couldn't get an allocation for a V4R. Their dealership was all sold out. They didn't have the 45 Gs to pony up to get the homologated bike. Sad. That is sad for you. That's like owning a poverty spec 911. That's like having a base model BMW. Ooh, sad. It's either a dude who has 4 or 5 really nice toys. It's the guy who has a 911, a Ferrari, and then like 2 Lamborghinis and like a couple Ducatis. Or it's a dude that put everything into owning this Ducati. And I mean everything. He gave up everything. He sold things. Like, he wanted this bike so bad and now parks it in an unmarked spot at their apartment complex. That's also sad. Almost guaranteed to be a B group warrior at the track day, refusing to acknowledge that they could be faster if they bought a normal, more slower bike. They are on a Ducati. Screw you. Almost always very, very low mileage machines as well. Aprilia RSV4 factory. They wanted a Ducati, but they didn't like the price premium. They wanted the brand that only bikers know about, and seriously, even motorcyclists themselves barely know about Aprilia. And it sucks because it's genuinely a very good motorcycle. It sounds the best, even though it is a little bit porky. Kind of a fat bike, honestly. Posting exhaust clips on Instagram weekly. The handle is usually something Aprilia related as like at V4 guy, at that V4 bro, or Aprilia lover 69. And they put their motorcycle on a cargo ship to get serviced every year because there's no dealers within 500 miles of where they live. Because guess what? You bought an Aprilia, not a Ducati. Now you must languish. Now you must suffer. Speaking of suffering, BMW S1000RR, a bike I love punching down on. Has the same energy as people who buy an M-Series SUV. They believe that they have the ultimate performance vehicle and nothing can compete. These people live on some sort of island where they think the BMW S1000RR is a competitive package in every way, shape, or form, but they'll tell you unprompted and unasked about the tech package. They'll tell you, bro, it has this and that and the other and the paint scheme, and look at my M badge and blah, blah, blah. Look at the way the Speedo climbs, and they'll put Farkles and Farkles and Farkles on top of Farkles. This is the opposite of the CBR-1000 RRSP Fireblade. This bike has carbon all over it. Carbon this, carbon that. Why does it have it? We don't know. M-branded hats, BMW SUV with tow hitch, BMW Yeti branded cups, guaranteed to be 40 to 50 years old. They're insufferable and usually not very fun to ride with. BMW S1000RR people pretty much fall into this category, in my humble opinion. Triumph Speed Triple 1200RR. Well, what is this? I wish to be included. Who even are you? Who asked you to be here? You show up with 40 less horsepower, 3 cylinders, 1200cc. What are you doing? This is Triumph's half-assed attempt at a leader bike. Really wish they put pen to paper, ass to seat, bullet to gun, and get it done. You know what I'm saying? So this thing, it's super comfy to ride. It looks a little weird with the half fairings, but honestly, like all Triumphs, this is genuinely a very awesome motorcycle, but nobody cares. Nobody freaking cares about this bike, and I have never, ever seen one of these motorcycles in the wild. Ever. So, that's going to be my big rant and diatribe about what leader bike you should own. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with me. I hope you enjoyed this little slideshow I put together for you. Had a lot of fun doing it. As always, hit me up on yammynoob.co, become a member, join our Discord, and you can harass me on there as well. Ask me any questions you want. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about these different motorcycles as well. I will catch you in the next one. I will. When I say that at the end, that I say I'm going to catch you in the next one, I'm hunting you. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye. Keep watching Yammy Noob.